we're really glad you could join us today. So, Axel, yeah, it's your honor.
First of all, thank you very much for having us here. Thanks to Bert and Hallebardiers and Alvin and Svarta and all you guys for showing up. We'll try to live up to any expectations, if you have any expectations of us. Today we will have 3 classes. We will start up with a short warm-up, and we will do some workout exercises in pairs. Normally, as Pete told you, we would try to show you how we do different exercises in Gothenburg in our home club. What we do in a regular training, in a regular practice, at least for the longsword, that also involves a lot of physical workout. Now, we don't have any weights or dumbbells or mace belts or similar here today, so instead we're going to use our body and our weapons for different type of physical exercises. And me and Robert and Hans will give advice and instructions and pointers to the best of our ability. So if this sounds okay with you, then that is what we'll do.
Okay.
So first up, we'll start by warm-up. So I think Michael can call off. Yep. Everyone can pick up your sword.
We can slow down the pace to a fast walk. We get really slow. Try to walk more or less in the class. Then we do clockwise overhouse. Like this. It gets really low. So start from the tail guard to a umhau, stop here, and then the next one. We try to speed it up. I want it to get really low in the stance. Okay.
First half hour, 40 minutes is always running and then doing different workout stations. The workout stations tend to be around 11 or 12 of them, and we exercise for 50 seconds, and then we have 10 seconds break to rush to the next station, and 50 more seconds. So for example, we do this not for a number of push-ups, but for a number of seconds.
Okay.
Because if you do a number of push-ups, then your body just adjusts to doing 20, then you should stop. But if you do 50, you can always try to do as many as you possibly can within 50 seconds.
Okay.
And remember that everything you push is here, you get back. It's not a loss.
Oh yeah.
If you do 40, you have 40. It's your investment really in yourself. Well, the next thing is one of the kinky stuff.
The Kama Sutra.
Kama Sutra we call it. And you do like this. Cross your legs, get really bent, and then we do like this. You've seen Bruce Lee, maybe? They can do like this. That.
Okay, try to wait.
Yeah.
20 seconds.
You sit down, and then you grab here, and really hold the vice. Try to be as straight as you can in the back. And then we do the reverse Kama Sutra. Now we do the back instead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You've seen this in different nature movies.
So lean back, and now it's a back exercise.
And really try to focus on the back.
And I'm honestly really trying to fall backwards now.
Yeah.
That's the way you keep the balance. Yeah? So try 20 of these as well. Not 20 seconds, 20. Back.
One arm under the thigh. Lift up. Run here. And then you yeah. Then you run back. And then you change.
If you are uncomfortable with this grip, just do peek back. Okay.
We'll go from this yellow line to the next. We go like this.
Look at his arms now. It's one at a time. Like a bulldog. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you change partners there.
And go like. As a target, this is pretty big. So if I strike to an upper opening and then to a lower one, I'm bound to hit it, right? But this is a smaller area. This is a smaller target area. So this is much harder to hit than just striking anywhere on rubber. This is why we use them, and also because striking on nylon swords make a lot of noise in our club, and I don't want to get so this is why we use them. Some important parts on how to use these focus pads. First of all, hold them far away from your head. That makes a lot of sense to everyone. Yeah. Second of all, do not remove the focus pads if your friend misses. If he misses his cut, keep it there and make him or her try to the cut again. Okay, do not remove it. Those are two good things to consider. The reason being for the last part is make sure that you exercise, and they also learn how to recover from a failed cut. Yeah. Now,
and so also if you move a target, you will be hit most of the times.
Yeah,
and it will hurt you.
We've noticed this through experience. If people hit the miss, they tend to just take the weapon out and then your face is dead. Yeah. You can put your fencing mask on just as a safety. Alright, so you can use this for several things. For striking, for thrusting, for the schnitt, for kicks and punches together with ring and Longsword. Yep. This also works great. You can use combinations. If you have two pads, that is easy. I can use to hold up and ask him to do sword shot. But this also works with one focus pad, yes? So I let him know beforehand, okay? Yep. And you can do as many exercises as you want. You can go backwards and forwards. You can start to use all this type of body feints and body movements. And
the thing is, you who do the cuts always try to be in a low stance and really focus on your footwork too, to get that whole package.
And it's easy when you don't have an opponent that is facing you, that you get a little bit lenient and you start just fencing with your arm instead of fencing with your body. So I'm as Robert's coach in this moment, I always remind him to strike him strike as it would have been a fight. Yeah.
And I can just show you the signs and do the cuts. Yeah. We have the sword half, like this.
Straight out to the side.
Yeah.
So let's start with that exercise.
Yes.
It's also possible to strike first out of the lower arm. That's a common technique in the men's games. So you can also strike the low section. Also the lower arm. Okay, now if you want to try it out slowly, you can also have it to stop the focus pad that cannot strike back, at least not very, very dangerously. When we move, we should still consider this a fight. So for example, when Robert cuts at the focus pad, he doesn't stop and relaxes while he's still in range of the focus pad, or me, right? He withdraws out. Instead he does it like this. So cover, the leader slide, the nash slide, the absolute, protecting yourself when you move up. That is a type of intensity, something you should always practice. When you practice with partners in Bruges who on both have swords, but also when you use focus pad. You just always have that, and you will hit a lot less. So now is the tighten up. This is a cut that we don't see that much when we look at sparring videos or when we do it ourselves or in competition. So let's take the time to train it. Now when you strike the focus pad, you can strike the side pad really hard. So try to go for it, yeah? I just hold up my pad really high, and then go to side pad. Try it out. Try it out. Sword high, vertically. Do that for a little while and we'll move on. Cut, which can basically, one interpretation is basically a shield hound. And it looks like this on the hook of my shield. Jump out, shield hound. Yeah, everyone knows this one, right? So this can translate into focus pad exercise. Så jag kommer backa lite så ni ser att det är på här. Så jättegärna långsamt igång. Jump out, shield see now. And see, I back up a little bit so we can always maintain this. Once again. Vi gör det snabbt. One thing you can do if you want to make it more difficult for your training partner is to not keep the focus pad out at all times. So in fact, he has to do it while moving backwards to the side. So he has to try to win within range of it. Don't punch it out. And the guy you have to focus pad, you have the same position at all times, right? No. Try it out, don't punch it out. You can try this on both sides. So, a common combination, a sauna followed by a sword shot. Yeah? Sauna, a sword shot. See how I always go out to the sides where he has to go. If I'm moving forward, if he wants to maintain this, and he wants to move backward, we're going to end up in a finish. So groups of 4, the sword now and the sword shot. And then of course, you try it from the other side, left side. And the ones who are very comfortable with this, I mean, do a kung fu on that sword shot. That's fine as well. So it looks like this. So now.
Understand. Okay.
You don't go directly from the thrust. Axel can vary the stab, the height.
Yep. No, it's simple.
Backwards, forwards. See, backwards, forwards, in circles. Deliver.
So now, slash out, thrust, 3 moves. So the guy holds the pad, start out like this. So now right hand, slash out left hand, and then thrust, right hand. And you go from holding the pad up to the sky to facing your partner.
Okay.
I do this mistake, but I have no friend who's this tall. So try to make sure that all the time.
And if you want to feel a little bit more secure, you can do it as far from your head as possible.
Okay, so this is, I think this will be the last drill before lunchtime.
So this one again, please?
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's fine to go to do this slowly for a couple of times before you get into it. Yeah. The important thing is to try to remain the initiative with the sword. Everyone is comfortable to do most cuts from the right contact position, because this is what we generally end up training with. The practice is just more natural. But what you have to do now is strike a sword shot from the Langenord position, because you just did a sword now. So, taking your sword back and then striking a sword shot is of course impossible if you're in distance to your opponent, because he will seize that opening and attack. So what we're really training here is to make this first attack and then immediately, without withdrawing your sword, performing a sword shot from this position. And then performing a thrust from that position, without ever really withdrawing back to a resting guard position, because that opens you up.
And you can see the smash shot. What?
I think Axel did it from the other.
Oh yeah, the other way around. But you just simulate the saw now to the slash out as in the bind, and then you go stab. Try to create pressure and then stab, if possible.
I think we have talked enough.
Yeah.
At least I have. So let's get to training. Right, you guys kicked me in the chest. And I was extremely happy, because that's a technique that you see in the manuscript, but that you very rarely see performed today. So, why is that? Well, probably because we don't train it enough. probably because we were very focused on swords and not on the other parts of the cloak of fencing, which is knees and feet and arms and elbow and grab. We simply don't do that enough. And that is understandable to an extent. But today let's take the opportunity to train that. Because I like to kick Robert. Robert doesn't like to get kicked except for when he has a focus pad. So we're going to try the Talon for stomp kick today. Now, the Talon for manuscript actually shows how the fencer goes up into the clone guard and then cuts when another guy cuts into him. But for this specific exercise, I am the one with the initiative. So I use a high cut, a cycle how in this particular instance, to get within range, and then I follow up with a stomp kick, and then I place a cut to any particular opening. Okay? So one more time. Yep. You'd like to have a bigger pad normally, but let's try it out anyway. Okay? So work with this for a little while. It's fine to try that slowly first so you get the good distance for this. You feel it out. One cut, step in, other cut, push away, and then place a slow cut to any opening that you can find.
And the one that's holding the pad, hold it just by a strap. You don't want to have the whole fist in your solar plexus area. It will hurt.
You just hold it like that. Yep. And just tense up the stomach muscle. Try that out. And
the flow of it all the time.
Very cardio.
Yeah.
But this is the last exercise. Yeah. So we only have a couple more minutes until it's lunchtime, so we're going to do this exercise with first half. Just do it for a little while until you're tired, and then let the next one do it. Okay. It's lunchtime. Yeah. So Robert,
yeah. I will just cut like crazy now. So.
For the use of the sword, I've only seen stomping kicks or pushing kicks, either to the chest or to the knee. But I mean, if you in most competitions, if you want to do this as sparring, you can also do the side kick, and that also works, of course, with the padded sword strike. And yeah, not side. And for close-in combat, strike, strike. These are the ways that you use the focus pad to train and close-in technique. So take that with you. You don't have to only train the particular technique you do today. You see them as different concepts that you can try out, improve, and then tell us how you improve them so we can feel that change of technique. We always like to see Okay, so another technique that is, in our opinion, a bit underused is the schnitt. The slice, probably because it's not as obvious as the big thrust or, of course, the cuts. So let's first use the slice. The pushing slice, in particular, is something that you don't see a lot. As I said, the pushing slice. There are two types of slices or schnitts. One is a drawing cut, and one is a pushing cut. But it's the schnitt. Both ways. Push away or draw towards. Drawing towards you is perhaps drawing thinking, and that happens sometimes to do a circular cut and draw. This is this slicing technique I think is common in Japanese fencing, for example. But here is the pushing slice. Jag kör från vänster då. Kan du hålla? So this is the saw now, and then follow up by the slice. Saw now, slice. This is a great technique. Even if you don't get it with the slice, say this is when you connect with the sword. This is when you push them up into the crew, and this is when you go. So once again. You sort it up, you perform the strike, And instead of going backwards, now you just move forward. Maintain the initiative. This is like the almost like the sauna ort, the first sauna technique. Cut, thrust. And that's basically what it is. But you can use this slicing push to control it also.
And that's your absu really.
Yeah.
You put away.
That can be your absu, if you want to. If this is the strike that hits him, this is the strike where you maintain control. If you're into competition, and you want to make sure that your slice is well seen by the judges, pushing his head is a pretty obvious sign that his neck is supposed to be off. Yeah? Let's try this. And try from both sides. And your entry cut can of course be something else. A kumpa, followed up by a snitt. Or another cut. Yeah? Try also to use a little bit of sufekten. Try to do the cut from, not only from right one tongue, everyone can do this, but doing the cut from right hook is another skill that's super long. Yeah? So, once again, in pairs. If you get tired, yeah, we have it. And if you get really tired of waiting, you can use just one focus pad, and your friend can use the helmet. So, do that if you're comfortable with that. No. Of course. Okay, let's get through. Go to you want to win the back, you want to win the center. You use the capital force to put you no, you're correct. This is the you want to cut it and then maintain it and just I cut from the other side. When I hit him here, kind of like that. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Then I have to practice the short side. Yeah, it's okay. They move again. Okay. Yeah. So then the Molin moves up. With this you make your ready control. This sort of fine. This like this makes you weaker and goes over on this side. I don't think it matters, but if you go from the left side, then this is probably easiest because you immediately move up. But the point I was trying to make is, don't bounce off, they cut him again, keep press on, just move that up. Focus on pushing him away. This will increase your dominance. So for Robert to compensate that, if he has to go down with knees, now you're going to be tapped properly. Hopefully you can, so that's, we will work on some of that.
But we will start with a quite simple, just drill. To get the hang of some of protection and just doing overhouse. So we will do an overhouse and an overhanging thing. Yeah, a right overhouse and a right hanging. So it looks like this. And you shift your body. And you go around.
It doesn't really matter if you actually parry or if you move out of the distance, you can try both. The flow is the important thing here. Yeah. So you parry on the right side, but you adjust according to need, and you cut from the right side. Okay? And even if Robert misses, if I move out of distance, I still pull up for the hanging, because I need to pull up in order to strike. Okay? This I have to say already that a lot of times when we see people trying to do sacks, they stand around like this. But this guard does not exist in your mind. Because all these guards are charged. They're either out or ready to strike. This guard is impossible to generate the energy you need for a proper strike in this position. You have to bring it up or bring it down. So when I'm telling this guard, actually it's time for Robert to be in position on it. And then he wants this to be in the bottom. It's a bad system. So when you strike, you really want to be up and about, and when you guard their charge. So when we do this, overarm and hanging, we focus on generating power and being fluid in the body. And that's our warm-up exercise right now. So we encourage you to do that and get that flow going. Work with each other and adjust it so you get a good flow and try to move in different directions. And this is how we warm up.
stance, you just pick up your weapon, you have one dussack between you. You try to really focus to be low in your stance again, then you try to shift. And you, the other guy cut it over half, Axel avoided it. I try to avoid it, just to feel how much you can just use your body.
And now you realize that if you want to be able to cut at the same time as you move forward, when you move back to overcuts, you should also raise your dussack for the strike. Because otherwise, if you move forward and the dussack is here, now you don't have the energy of the legs when you cut. So when you move back, you should also want to get into a charge position. And when you use the back leg here, this is something the Italians call I think they call it the volte. Is when you move back, you shift the foot back, and when you move forward, you move the foot forward. Yeah. What? Volta stabile. Volta stabile. Yeah, that's right. This is of course also what you use in boxing. Yeah. So when you move back, when Robert cuts, you front cut, you point in that direction and you get out of the way. And then when you cut, you shift and you press away with the foot, and that will give you extra energy. Okay? Yes. So this is the movement that we're trying
to do the longsword thing. You can go from here and cut. But you try to do it powerfully, and where your shoulder, where you want to land the head, is how it's supposed to be. The same here.
Still low brow. I'm just doing it
Long brow, same thing. Go. Hard to do down here. And the middle up. Try to really press in to every hit. And then go back to cover yourself. Any questions on the cuts? You have this plain cuts, one level, then the diagonal overhaul, and the diagonal underhaul.
Opportunities you have. And it's also possible to fade, even if you're going slowly, and see how your opponent reacts. So this just gives you time to explore different options. But if you go fast, you also learn how to change back from a backwards leaning to a forward leaning position very quickly, which is extremely important since dussack is a fast weapon. So we can stop too much. So learning to do this quicker is great. Yeah. So do this exercise, just go slow. Okay, so another great thing to learn about dussack is to parry and to cut away the opponent's cuts. Parrying, many touches is preferably done with arm extended and longer facing towards the opponent. Cutting away is simply to cut away the opponent's cut. So we will do an exercise with that right now. So I stand in a guard, any guard you wish. You can make up a guard if you want, as long as you cut on it, it's fine. I will cut away Robert's cut, and at the same time Robert is actually practicing to try to do a simple parry. But I'm just going to cut it through anyway, but he can focus on that. I'm going to cut away Robert's cut and then immediately cut again towards his left side. So, yeah. But we're going to turn this into a flow drill. So Robert is going to maintain distance and move backwards. And as soon as I have cut my two cuts, I'm going to cover and go back into Langenor to protect myself against his Widerstand or his Nackshot. And then Robert's going to make the same two cuts to me. And then he's going to move back and we get back to the first starting position. And we go back and forth and back and forth. So it looks like this. Cut, 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 cut. Robert cuts away, now he enters distance. He retreats back to Langenor. I cut away his parry, and then I cut him. Related exercise. Do it so first so you get the feeling of cutting it away and then reaching him and withdrawing into longsword. And then as you cut that, you can speed it up. You can start pressing back to the right, it's fine. One guard, one high, one middle, and one low guard.
So 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. We will use sawn foot. So back here. And then middle hook. Or on the other side the board. And it should be really far stretched back so you can thrust in really hard or front. And then you have vexel on both sides. That you'll probably see from the long content.
So it's also the same as Longsword.
Yeah.
How was the middle one?
Like this.
And on the other side you have, when you go to the right, you have a board guard, which is charged. Yeah.
That's a bit, which foot is it?
Board.
Remember the Jörnlind. This guard is very impossible to play. It's very hard to play the right side. You know, you can't really place your dussack in a proper fashion. And the board is pretty hard to do on the left side. Yeah, you know it. So for the left side, you like to use the middle hook, and the right side you like to use the board, because they're both guards in the middle of the body.
Yeah, we need focus pads again.
Yeah.
We will do overall on sawn hook on the different levels. We have high, middle, and low. So I go like this. And if I have time, while Axel switches level, maybe some kind of fits, just to have the dussack going. So he shifts level, I go down. And yeah, you can cut from the right and the left.
But it's always an overhand and it's for sword. Yeah. But you can do it high, middle, and low, as we are told to Joachim manager. And Joachim also says this about the guard, that he doesn't want you to stay in one guard for a long time, because your opponent, if he or she is good fencer, she will feel a bit more power in the cut, because that gives more weight to the cut, right? Instead of starting high and cutting low, it generates a lot.
I can just try to do a middle standing up here.
That's not very hard. That's the sound.
It's a difference. Just shifting the level.
All right, you have to have that power. Yeah, that's right. It's very important that you try to drive through with your legs when you watch the shoulders moving out to the side. You should step it through. That step out there will help you to generate good force. Let's do this. High, middle, low. But now let's move your house. And you will find it might be a bit tricky to generate power. Then step out to the side.
Yeah.
This is triangle stuff. The unfocused fashion, Robert can actually do an overhand. So make sure he has the strike from the middle. This is also a good exercise for me, because if I want Robert to strike a low cut, I have to be down there as well, waiting for him in this position. So the person who's holding the pad, you're also working out right now. Don't forget that. You can't focus. Now it's the middle down, and that is of course cut in the middle. But we still try to work a lot from sawn hook, because then we're going to try to do all these 3 cuts from the middle hook and from vexel. But we'll go through those quicker because we cut the concept. High, middle, up. That's it. And you can start calling out combinations. Strike really hard and you miss, you will end up in another guard. That's why it's also why striking really hard and powerful actually works. You don't necessarily leave yourself open. One of Mary's first exercises for cutting is actually cutting from this position and cutting around and letting the dussack swing up into another protected position. Very similar to Longsword, yeah? But try it out, and if you just let the dussack go, this is where you're going to end up. Striking from middle, this is where you're going to end up. From middle, strike hard and you will end up in another position. This is probably how they came up with these cards to begin with. Strapping on. Okay. Drawing up dussack over the head, you're basically moving through the sword. And this is probably how that guard should be used. I mean, it's fine to stand and wait, but just that simple movement does prepare you for the grab. That is excellent. So it's very good. Now we'll try to have the focus point being on the middle, either the middle or the board. So now the objective is to move your cut through either the right position, which is the board, or the left position, which is the middle. This is the focus now. And now just to go through this quicker, because everyone is really gone on this, you think you do really well. I will offer Robert both Oberhaus, Mittelhaus, and Unterhaus. And high, middle, and low. And all Robert has to do is follow through the cuts through one of the middle guards. See, back to the guard. Back to the guard. Back to the guard. Yeah. And I can give it a combination. And then back to the guard. We try to make that too. Right, we'll do this, and then we'll also try it from the next position. And then we'll move on. So, try it. You have to be in an aggressive cut. It could be a change of guard, for example, or another type of movement. So I should have said that, at least that is how I understand it. So you can try to use that as well. I provoke him, I hit him, and then I take his weapon as I move up. I establish a weapon contact. So, like this. Provoke him, and hit him, and then the taker there, in case he shows up. Yeah? Once again. Provoke him, hit him, that is concept of trying to work with that. We do that for just for a little while. It's basically a feint, a hit, and then a cover when you would do up. Previous fighting skills. The concept of provoker, taker, hitter is really good in our opinion, because you can apply it to almost everything. I mean, you can vary these. You can have, now we've done 2 variations, but of course you can also have, for example, the hitter, the taker, and the provoker, which is if I hit one, and then the taker is my parry, and the provoker is cutting away. And if you think of these 3 cuts, you always know in the fight where you are at. So if you land a taking hit, then you know the next one is a hitter or a provoker, depending on what you do. And if you're provoking, then you do a cut and it turns out that your opponent reacts, then you know that can you hit him or should you take his weapon? You always know this now if you think around these 3 cuts. And it's also applicable to longsword fencing, and I suppose most are working. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. One distance of 1 dussack. There you go. My right foot has frozen to the ground towards Robert's. And now we spar. But only at about 50 or 60% speed, because this is only to find openings and to try out different things. And actually, if Robert hits me, it doesn't really matter. You know, I just keep on doing my own different variants of technique. I'm just going to say this very shortly. There's an amazing footage on YouTube of 2 saber fencers from the late 19th century. There are still pictures that I put together to take a short 7-second clip. 2 guys who do military saber. I think it's from 20. Yes. You get into, I try to look for the openings. I try to work it. I work high, I work low, I work in the middle. And try out all different cuts. Back edge, long edge, vertical, diagonal, horizontal, different types of stepping. And do it about 50 or 60% speed. Then we'll go on to sparring with actual speed and fencing. But do this. This is just to look for different opportunities. So let your imagination take you through this. Alright? 1 dussack stay, right foot frozen to the ground. And I'm still managing to get in. And I feel like a fool. And I still get in. I must be doing something, right? So So in order to make sure this doesn't escalate into quicker, because we're going to do that anyway. Let's make sure the one moves slowest. That's the win. Okay? Started now in the last 15 or 20 minutes just to solidify what we've learned. So we can gear up, but we don't have to do it right now. We just want to make a point that in the last two exercises, and actually most of the exercises, we were pretty close to each other, especially in the last two. But we shouldn't be fooled by that to think that dussack is only a close distance game. It's perfectly possible for a quick fencer to reach out from pretty far away, as Robert can demonstrate right now. From that distance, that doesn't take very long for him to reach, right? So the fighting distance can absolutely start over the something. That is well within distance to strike you with just a single, with 2 simple steps. So you should start to be wary already at this distance. This is where the switch action begins. And if someone comes at you from this distance, he might very well hit you. So the exercises we've done this close are very good, but they don't have to represent all that dussack fencing is. Dussack fencing can very well start out. Absolutely. This way, if you can win this and start forcing into what you want to do by using provokers, even already have decided that engagement. If you know exactly where you're going. So, one minute. No. Okay. Now we have a couple of more minutes, so we're going to do some free sparring. How you want to do is completely up to you. You find a training partner, you pad out as much as you want, and you try to apply what you've just been doing in free fencing. If you have questions, we need help or pointers, just call us up. Okay?
I think if you have this wooden, you should use fence jacket.
And try to be careful.
Similar.
Be more careful with these things than the other ones.
Especially on the joints if you don't have any elbow protection.
But try to do cool stuff. And remember this, that sparring is just another sparring is just another exercise. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but we're going to take some classes on how to use sparring as a teaching tool. But one important thing is sparring is something that you do, not for your own exercise, for your own benefit to develop, not to win. You can win at prize plays or competitions, or when you really just have decided that this is the objective of my sparring. Otherwise, sparring is, for your benefit, and you also spar for your sparring partner's benefit. So this is one more exercise. Don't let your ego take over your sparring, because if you do that, that will hamper your development, and it will take you longer to become a good fencer. You see, this is exercise. Get hit, that's fine, as long as you try out, the things that you want to add to your toolbox of fencing skills.
You can use focus points. Staying on, like that.
If you can have a specific objective with your sparring, I like to be able to parry and countercut, or I'd like to be able to thrust from long distances, or change quickly from high to low. Do that. If your partner finds out and he starts to beat you up, okay, that's fine. You can talk to him and ask him to do specific things that you want to train. This is how we want to use sparring. So we have that opportunity now. Cut up and the force him to react in a way that I want. And which cut it is, it doesn't matter. It can be any type of cut, long edge or short edge. But the intention of the cut is to provoke a response that you have, or that you've already figured out. If I attack Robert's upper right opening, the response that provoke would probably be a parry to that opening if he's not prepared to do something else by his own intent. That is the provoker. The taker, I take control of Robert's weapon. This is a taker. I dominate his weapon with the cut. The hitter, of course, is when I hit. Now these three cuts are what Joachim wants you to use in combination whenever you fight. So most of the techniques in the device that you see in Joachim's manuscript, he doesn't always spell it out, but that is usually how the techniques are structured, or using 3 cuts in combination. So for example, a common concept to use is, I use a provoking cut to provoke a counter from Robert, the taker, the hitter, and then the provoker to cover my withdrawal. And it's exactly how you do it, doesn't really matter. But we will now start with this combination. The provoker, the taker, and the hitter. This is how we will work. So I'm the one training these 3 cuts. Which cuts I want, it doesn't really matter. You have now done Overhaus, Mittelhaus, and Unterhaus. different heights. You can of course also use the short edge, if you wish, it's fine. But the first cut you want to provoke your friend. We're going to do this in like half speed first. So both of you agree to a speed you want to try this on. This perhaps, or how fast you want to do it. My objective is to provoke a response from Robert. Robert's objective is just to try to parry my cut.
And it's with the long edge.
Yeah, the long edge is preferable according to Joachim Mike. So I train the provoker, and now I'm training the taker, take away his weapon, and now over here my objective is just to find a proper cut to do on this. That's the proper cut. Then I step out on this. I can do it in many different ways. I can do the provoker to his legs, the taker, and the hitter. Okay. There's so many different variations. In Go Slow, it's fine to do the provoker. Realize that no, he actually parried. That was very good. Right, start over. That's fine. All of these are fine. Alright, you can stop. I start me to do the taker. Is this a good step? That would be appropriate. That is good. It's fine. Just take your time. But work with the concept. But it's the provoker, then the taker, then the hitter. Okay?
Okay.
Try it out. If you're comfortable with this, you put your mask on, you put your gloves on, and you go a little bit more intense and see if you can try it out. Okay? If you find a particular combination like ask your training partner or whatever, you try with intent. The cut that you would know how you go into half sword and you counter. But of course, anyone who has sparred knows that it doesn't look like this. We don't walk up to each other, nod politely and say, well, go ahead. No, there are other skills you need to learn as well. For example, can you perform this half solid technique when you read the 4? Can you perform it when you read the 9? Can you perform it as a third of your cut instead of the first, or the fifth of your cut instead of the first? Can you perform it close up? And can you perform it from this, how far away? These are all different skills we need, and not all the managers give answers to this question. It will show us how to train these skills. So what to train in all the managers, but how to train them, often we have to come up with that ourselves. And we have these simple drills that we think help us get trained in these different skills. So today we will use this simple half sword technique, basically moving from a common grip, putting our left hand, if we are right-handed, onto the blade, to control our opponent's weapon, and then stabbing with the point, or slashing with the palm, and then finishing. This is a very simple technique. However, this technique is not the focus of the class. We just skip that technique at random. You can go through all these drills with the Krumpfau, or the Schweichelhau, or the Absets, or any other of the long-term or something. Probably the most other things as well. So, the first, in GHFS, what we do when we introduce a new technique? Well, first we show it, this is probably how most people train. So we'll just start to do this very, very quickly, so that everyone gets familiar with this technique. Person number 8, that's Robert, stands in any sort of guard divisions, and he will perform a simple overhand, diagonal overhand towards me, or vertical. I will transit from a regular grip into a half solid grip, parry his attack, and then finish. Okay? But we will do this very quickly. Very quickly. Set it to the side, and with the palm, I would suggest that you then also finish with something sharp. You can also go to the other side, now I went to the right, you can go to the left. Also, we'll do something regardless of where he strikes from. You can go step up to your left or to your right. And with a rolling motion, you set aside his weapon and then you finish. Right? So, I'm sure everyone is familiar with this technique already, but just try it out 5 times. Each, get up in pairs, and just try to see how it performs. This is a pretty simple exercise. You will work with a few 3 pointers on this specific exercise. Number 1, when you do this, do not parry here because you get hit in the head. Parry above your head. Right? Number 2, make a rowing motion. So you set aside his attack as you move in. This gives you a command. You bind above his sword. You also have to create the initiative because he has to come back. And also, if you just stop and block the blade, he will come in from underneath. So you like to step up. Okay, this is very good. Now you can do variations of this, of course. I mean, if he makes a lower cut, you can also tie this, and this is more or less the same thing. However, we will just move on, and now we add some intensity to the drill. And this means that we will start to move around. We'll use footwork and feints.
And I will also ask all of you to try to perform the transition from regular grip into hot swording grip from all the 4 guards of the dictionary tradition. Every time I see people train, or many times I see people train, this is the position that they train. And I follow this step myself all the time. But however, what if you're in ox and you feel the need, you feel the opportunity to make a half swording transition, but you're never training? That sucks, doesn't it? So let's train that now. We move around, and it's the guy who's not doing the half swording technique. He's the one that initiates the attack, right? When I'm moving through different guards, he can attack me at whatever opportunity he wants, and I have to move into hot swording. Regardless of where I am at that moment. But he only makes overhouse now, right, left, go vertical, so you know at least that. But you move around, just like if you were really defensive in a fight. You change guards to confusing. Do a look for openings, and all of a sudden attack, and you win the half sword. Okay? Let's try that out. Because he initiated the attack and you responded to that regardless of where you were. That's the quite good to learn. The other, what we're going to do now is related to the provoker of Joachim Meyer's dussack. Because we're going to do the same exercise, however, now I, the person who does the half swording technique, I am the one that provokes him to attack with an overhand, whereby I answer with the half swording technique. So I learn into a trap, something I prepared already. Yeah? So I do this by closing him to distance, or another similar feint, provoking him to do something. For example, we move in, I go. Yeah? If you go towards him and you present an opening, most people will strike to the closest opening they have. So if you move around and I step, now this is the closest opening he has, right? So you will probably go to that. And now I already know that. So I use it. I am aggressive even though I wait for it to attack. I am actually the one who is controlling the fight at this moment. Stay, changing guards. So I'm stepping into distance. By moving out to the side, by trying to provoke him. And I can do that perhaps when Robert is moving from a low guard to a high guard. Then I step in, because you try to react immediately. And then I'm there with the cover, and then I finish. And remember this, I step in and he attacks, and I'm parried, but it's a bad parry, or it's not exactly how I want it to be. That's okay, you keep going. You try to go here and he parries that, go to the other side. You drop your hand, you push him away. You try to finish it anyway. And that's where you need to use strong and weak and all these other things. So if it doesn't go perfect, it's fine. Just keep pushing, okay? And your friend, he gives moderate resistance. So, you got it?
Yeah.
And now you're pushing him, forcing him to attack.
So
right.
The opponent is still working only with the overhouse?
Yes, your friend is only working with overhouse. If you want to mix it up, and you want to as well, that's fine. And you still play with the half. If you want to do that, okay, cool. Go ahead. Start in pairs and let's try it out. One pointer is that when you try this, if you want to, at your club back home afterwards, you want just to start out from further away. Now you see some people, you start from this distance, and your friend can already hit you from here, so it's almost too late. You preferably should start out here. This is where fencing starts, and this is from this distance that you move in to give your friend an opening that you can exploit by your half swording technique. So you can all step, most of you can step a few more steps back. This is where fencing starts because Robert can't reach me from here. So the next exercise is called, we now place focus on applying your technique in the sport when we have the initiative. So this is of course the perfect section. We'll look very simply. I'm going to try Robert with several cuts. Robert's objective is to step backwards and try to maintain the distance. He's not supposed to run away, of course, because he is also my training coach. My objective is to run at Robert with cuts and of course also thrusts and windings, and always looking for an opportunity to apply the half swording technique. I'd like to remind you again that it's not the half swording technique in particular that is interesting. We can do this drill some other time when I'm driving, but I'm looking for opportunity to do the true part. But today, half sword. Okay? And if you get small hits on each other while you're doing this, just ignore them. You keep going. The important thing is trying to learn is to drive it forward and plan your preferred technique. Right? So if you guys can step away.
Okay, jag kör bort igen.
The objective of this drill was, of course, to try to apply the technique while you were in the fall. Great skill to have. Next one, logically, is to try to use this technique as a counter when you're in the knot. So it basically is the same exercise, but the person moving backward is now always looking for an opportunity, an opening to counter with the half swording technique. And this happens quite a lot. I mean, no fencer is perfect. When most people feel that it's a commonly known term, the feeling to know when to do what through the blade. Most people don't have it. And if Robert is driving me, and I parry, and he comes from side to side all the time, you know, he's bound to end up doing a mistake where he tries to leave the bind when my parry is still pointed towards him. This happens all the time, so you'll find plenty of opportunities. And you can also force him to make wider cuts if he drives towards you by parrying his sword out to the sides, perhaps with your own cut. A Versetzen by stone power. Now he has to make wider cuts to move to the other side to attack you. This is how you create your openings, even though you're defensive. So I'm going to move backwards. My objective at first is just to maintain distance. So I'm not going to stop immediately when Robert is driving. I'm going to look for the opportunity to all of a sudden change direction. Hopefully, with a really flashy half sword technique. Oh, that wasn't it. Let's try it again. Well, just 4 minutes. So backwards, 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 backwards. And then you can parry each cut and drive it. Let's take that one more time.
One more time.
It happens easily that you stop moving backwards, and you parry, it slowly reaches closer and closer to your body, and then all of a sudden you're standing here and parrying, and then you're supposed to do a forceful counter, but it's already upon you. That's not the way you want to do it. Instead, you want to maintain this distance when you parry, and from this distance, you choose to step in. So you try to maintain that distance. If you drive, this is fine. This is where it starts to push. This is where it starts to get complicated because it's already on you. So instead you try to maintain the distance. You parry. And then, well, better than me, but you got the idea, huh? So you come with some force, because he's already moving towards you. Okay, next drill is pretty similar to the forward and after drill, but it goes constantly back and forth, and we call it the 1-2-5 drill. And it's pretty simple to understand, it's a little bit more difficult to execute. I will start with one attack on rope. And since we're training the half-swording move, my first attack, but only in this instance, would be a half-swording technique. So Robert will stand there, and he will parry using a regular grip. So it just looks like this. Now it's Robert's turn to attack me with his one. So he changes over to half-swording and attacks me. I switch back to regular grip. This is something that's pretty tricky in the beginning, so it's something that's great to practice, switching back and forth. I switch back. Now I have two. I did one, Robert did one, now I have two. The last one is the half-swording technique. So now I have 1, 2, and now it's Robert's turn. 1, 2. Now it's me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And if it hits or if it misses, it's fine. If it hits on those 1, 2, and 3s, just keep going. You don't stop. Right to 3, and then I drop to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Robert just 4, and then we do 5. Now, really what we're practicing here, you can do this in two ways. The first is the slow way, and this is what we're going to do first. And this is similar to the 4 drill. You learn to set up your attack, because if you have 1 attack or 2 attacks or 3 or even 4 attacks, to set your opponent up before you apply your technique. So you learn some strategy here. You also learn to perform the technique in the middle of fighting. So it doesn't happen as in the magic, where it's always the first thing that you do. Now it's the third thing that you do. Right? And this is awesome. The last thing that I think is good about this drill is that you're forced to go from back to forward, to back to forward, all the time. So you're really switching your footwork. And you know when you learn how to, when you realize it's a bad thing, to press, you step back. When you see you can press, you stop stepping back, and you stop to press, and so on. That's a great skill to have, just as if you do something, moving back and forth. And you don't have to do it in a straight line. And you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and move it to the side as well. Perfectly fine. But we're starting doing it slow. So now you're just looking for different opportunities, applying pressure, looking for hard and soft, strong and weak. Seeing the different openings, so you work from there. And you have some techniques to look in whichever way you want. You can try to do the little things. You can go with your pommel, you go and try to hook for the arm. You will feel this natural when you try. But 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, up to 5. Okay, let's try it out. Go slowly, coach each other, and see how many different variations can come up. One, that's good. 1, and now the second one. The last one. Okay, so now I have 3. So, 1, go back to normal grip. That's difficult. 2, and no. And here comes the ball. 3. No. Regular grip. Now, let's try you cut 2. No. Look at 1. 1, you cut 2. You cut 2, and here is half-holding grip with the 3. En extra mag. Ik kom de hoofdstad.
And we have done it in a sort of a mix where we go back and forth. So the last exercise is it's not very complicated, so we'll just show it shortly and we'll always a time. So with this exercise we will learn how to apply the technique for different distances. For example, we will learn how to apply the technique from far out, from this distance, how to apply it from closer in, where we can reach each other with from this distance, and we'll also learn to apply it from the back. These are flow drills, and we usually do these for cardio, so they can be exhaustive. So we just go do for a short period of time, just so you understand. Then you can take them home and train them at your own cost. First exercise from out of distance. Robert is going to cut 2 cuts at me, full cuts, all the way from above to below, any sort of cuts he likes, and drive me. I will move back, out of measure, then I'm going to attack him. And we're going to go back and forth like that, and when I see the opportunity, I will attack. Okay, wait, yeah. So it will look like this. 2 cuts, bam, bam, 2 cuts, bam, bam, 2 cuts, bam, bam, 2 cuts, bam. Whoop. And from this flow, I'm looking for the opportunity. Basically, I have 2 options. I can do it after I have cut 2 times at him, then I wait for his return and go up, and it looks like this. That's you call it. Nu vi 2 på det. So this, in that example, I cut by 2, and then when he comes back, I cut it. For example, in a real life or in a fighting situation, I cut, and he tries to do a knock by step or something, and I go in. The other opportunity is simply that after I make my 2 cuts, I crowd him, I rush him. This easily leads to wrestling. So, total missmackare. In that example, I immediately follow him. I don't wait for him to counter attack. These are the 2 options that we have. So we try to go this back and forth. You do it 3 times each, and then we're going to move on to the next one, right? But the basis is you go back and forth. And there's no connection between the swords. Just move out of distance. Move, 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 move. Technique. Or whenever you feel that you want to apply. But 3 or 4 times each, that's enough. Then we're going to move on. So you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth without really applying a technique. And you get good cardio, and you're going to be able to change directions pretty quickly. You notice that what we did in dussack can also easily be applied to longsword. For example, if Robert drives me with these 2 cuts, and I move the last time, I pull up my weapon, right, so it's already there to move, and I can use the voltage tablet to get energy for my incoming cut. So I don't have to wait for my sword down there, and then start to pull it up while I'm going backwards. Because we would have been able to exploit that in a fighting situation. It's better to, as he cuts, I pull up so that my cut is ready as the next. Just as easy. Now, we're going to move a little bit closer. And now we're going to do the same type of hanging overhaul drill that we did in the dussack fighting. So we're going to go back and forth with right hanging to a right overhaul, to a right hanging, to a right overhaul. And your friends will do the same. So, right overhaul, right hang. Right overhaul, right hang. You have the technique. Now we're closing, and we're going to have to look for this opening again. I guess, as always, you have 2 options. One is when it cuts in, is that you step for hanging and you go to the half swording. And the other is after you cut it, you crowd it with the half swording technique. Just try this for a couple of times, and now it means that your weapons will pass with every cut. It means you're stepping closer to each other. That is the purpose. The separate from the previous one. Just try that out. It's time to walk around in circles, move back and forth, all the kind of stuff you were doing.
down to my lower hanger on the left, to the plow, right? So I wind this sword away. Now it's no threat anymore. Now I want Now I want to wind into Robert's face. So I wind up, and then when you wind up into ox to thrust. Robert doesn't want that, so he's going to parry away my weapon into flu again, just as I just did. And now he winds up into ox. I parry down, thrust, parry, thrust, parry, thrust. Or we can start to move a little bit with the foot first. Parry, thrust, parry, thrust, parry. From that flow. The important thing in this exercise, even more than the other, is that you work together with each other. It's so easy that you want to teach because you want to get the thrust in, yeah? But don't. This exercise is really rewarding when you work together to get the flow. And when you do that, once you know the drill, once you can really do that, then you can start to work with it and try to apply more pressure. But really move up, thrust, parry, move up. To do these things, big. And try to get that to go together, because if you don't get that flow, then the drill itself is not very rewarding. Okay, and then you apply half sorting when you think you can, when you see a moment. Alright? That's the last thing we do today. And then we're done. And if you have trouble getting the winding drill going, just call us and we'll go. And then we'll do it. Do 1 hour now. Okay, so this was the last exercise for today. We tried to apply hot sorting from the bind. It's actually something that you see sometimes in manuscripts, and in general it's just it's a great skill to have. So you can do many ways you can do it in, and if you're fighting someone who's simply stronger in the bind than you, then you hold up. It doesn't have to be very flashy, because if you put it up there to get an advantage. And if nothing else, you're going to force him to move out this way because he doesn't want to get hit. And then you can force another opening. This is great to know. Now, these are 3 different flow drills that we did, and they all teach different distances. What you can do is that you can combine these drills. We're not going to do it, we're just going to show it now. Into what I guess you can call it chaos drills, where you simply move back between them as you're doing this. So, and you can nominate one of the people to choose when to start training the next drill, or you can both change whenever you feel like it. But it can look like this. We're going to show it slowly. We're going to start out with the drill from the long distance. And at some point, I'm just going to enter into distance and do a hanging parry and start cutting. And Robert has to adapt to that, fight from that distance all of a sudden. So this exercise is going back and forth. Going back and forth. Now, now we're in.
Sorry. Again.
We're doing this drill long distance. And now all of a sudden we're in this drill. And at some point I might want to start with line. And then I'm moving out long distance. You can go between any type of drills. And if you ask people, Matt Gallas knows different flow drills, and Scott Brown knows different flow drills, and they can teach you different ones, so you can come up with your own. These are pretty simple. Go between these drills like that. You don't have to stop it by doing a technique, but just go between different flow drills. It's a neat addition to sparring, because you know exactly what you're going to do, but you're still doing it pretty intensely. There's an element of chaos in it. You look pretty tired. I know I'm tired. Thanks so much for today. You've been a great crowd. Yeah, you really paid attention all through, and that makes us very happy. I hope we had something to teach you. Tomorrow we will do 2 classes and that's sparring focused. We will do 1 class first on how to be a good sparring coach, or a good training partner, how to help yourself and your friends, or if you're a teacher, how to help your students to use sparring, how you can use sparring to teach your students. And then we're going to do an opening sparring class where we all spar together, and me and Hans and Robert will give advice on certain things, and if you have things that you want to train specifically, you can come to us and we can work on it. That's the program for tomorrow. I guess now it's beer and celebrations.